Hi everyone, Spider-Man 1991 to do my comic reviews for the week of October 5th, 2011. Okay, first of all, before I get into my reviews, a little news that just came out today. DC Comics has decided to release 100 of their best-selling graphic novels digitally but they're only selling it exclusively to Amazon.com's new Kindle Fire thing. And once Barnes & Noble heard about it, they decided to pull 100 those same graphic novels from their stores. Basically, Barnes & Noble is a little angry because they're not getting the digital rights to the books, and they pretty much have some sort of policy or something. Someone from Barnes & Noble said that if they're not going to get digitally, then they're not going to sell it in print. So they're they're not getting rid of all DC graphic novels, just the ones that are being sold digitally exclusive to the Amazon Kindle Fire. Unfortunately, though, those titles do include Watchmen, Sandman, and The Dark Knight Rises. No, wait, Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. But maybe it's a good thing, because now this might encourage some fans to go and support their local comic book stores. Because, I mean, hey, if you can't... And also, the books will still be available to order online through Barnes & Noble's website. They're just not going to sell it in stores. I have to say, though, it's a pretty dumb move by Barnes & Noble. Okay, I mean, if they're the best-selling graphic novels from DC, then it's stupid to get rid of it from your stores. But also, really the online thing is kind of really more of an option for other people, because, I mean, as opposed to having it in the store, because no one really wants to wait for the shipping and the book to arrive. They'd rather just go to their store and pick it up, but that's no longer the case. I think it's a good move for DC to actually sell graphic novels digitally, though, but it is a little disappointing that you can only get it on one device. What else? That's really all I have to say about this. I think Barnes & Noble is being really stupid about this, I mean, they should go back to selling it in stores, but again, like I say, it's probably a little better, because I mean, this way fans might be encouraged to go to their comic book stores and buy it there and support your local comic book store. Okay, another story. I think this was announced last week, but all the DC #1s have sold out. Apparently, they've all gone back for second printings now, which is good news. They've all had which is good news business-wise. I think in terms of business and money, the DC #1s were apparently a success. And plus, the second printings are good in case you missed out on some #1s and you heard about how good it was and you're like, oh man, I wish I could have got that. Well, good news is the second and third printings are happening, so you can go and pick those up without having to go on eBay and finding some person who's selling a #1 for like twice the cover price because apparently it's rare or something. Alright, that's all I have to say news-wise. Now to get into reviews. I only bought 2 actual comic books this week, so to make up for it, I decided to bring in a graphic novel that I got this week. New Teen Titans Games. This was written by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. The guys who are pretty much responsible for the whole New Teen Titans thing, creating Cyborg and Raven and Starfire, and pretty much bringing back the Teen Titans back in the 80s. The thing about games is that it was originally stated it was going to be an original graphic novel to be published back in '87, but there kept getting delays in between with Marv Wolfman and George Perez kept running into several delays, and then a couple of years ago, George Perez called Marv Wolfman and they decided to finish this, and it was And last year, though, they did release the solicitations that it was meant to come out this fall, and it finally did. And I gotta say, though, if you have been missing the kind of George Perez, Marv Wolfman era Titans, then I would definitely recommend picking this up because it's very good. It takes place after the Terra saga, after the whole Terra saga, and I guess after Raven got possessed by Trigon because she's in her White Raven costume. The basic premise is that King Faraday shows up at the Titans headquarters and he asks their help because he needs their help to take down this terrorist known as the Games Master, who was once hired by a government agency to kind of create some war game scenarios, but he went a little overboard and they thought he was crazy, so the Games Master pretty much set out to prove him wrong and show that America was actually vulnerable to an attack. And that's pretty much the premise of the book. And when the identity of the Game Master is revealed, you might be a little surprised. I liked the games. It was really fun. It reminded me why I like the Teen Titans and how important the Wolfman Perez era group is. Funny story about when I got this though is that when I ordered it, I pre-ordered it back in July. Then when it finally arrived, I couldn't get it because I have a P.O. box and the post office wasn't open on Saturday, so it physically came, said it was ready to be picked up on Saturday, but I couldn't get there. But post office closed early on Friday and I couldn't get there to pick it up, so I had to wait the entire weekend. Then I got it right when they were about to close on Monday. Then Tuesday, my day was completely full and I couldn't read it. Finally read it on Wednesday, and I'm finally glad I did because this was an amazing work, and I really do like these Titans. I think they're my second favorite group right after the Young Justice 4 because, again, Young Justice 4 were kind of my Titans, and these guys are also pretty important to the Titan legacy. And it's pretty great how Marv Wolfman and George Perez are still able to deliver an awesome story 20 years later. Well, I'm not saying they're old or anything, I'm just saying that it's still pretty good. It was delayed 20 years. I'd say it's probably worth the 20... I'm not so sure if it was worth waiting 20 years, but I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it to any Titans fans. Okay, now for the whole reason you're watching this video, the comic books. Invincible, number 83. Yeah, making sure I show the whole cover. It picks off where the last issue ended, which was Cecil, the government bigwig in this, showing Invincible, the Reanimen, which are basically revived corpses that are pretty much brought back to life, but not fully alive though. They're just more like robot. They have no consciousness, just basic motor skills. They're basically robots. And the interesting thing about the Reanimen that Cecil has shown Invincible is that they're all alternate versions of Invincible that appeared in the main reality way back. I'd say maybe 30, maybe 20 issues. It was before the Viltrumite War. A bunch of alternate Invincibles showed up and started causing chaos. Then they were killed. And now apparently they were brought back as Cecil's Reanimen. And of course when Mark sees this, Invincible sees this, he says it's a little creepy seeing himself dead, but he understands why Cecil did this and he's okay with it. And of course this shocks Cecil because in the past, whenever Cecil would do something like this, Invincible would get angry and almost try and attack him and stuff, and now pretty much Invincible is calm and he understands why, and this sort of shocks Cecil that, like, okay, I'll call you if I need you. And Invincible just leaves. Next thing, the Guardians of the Globe have a welcome back party for their team members who've just returned, Monster Girl and Robot. They went to a portal to another dimension right before the Viltrumite, either right before or during the Viltrumite War, they went to another dimension and they weren't, but the time in the other dimension was faster than the normal dimension, so they're older now. And at the party, though, Robot is just completely depressed and stuff. He's just really completely depressed, like he's barely talking to anyone, and something clearly affected him in the dimension, and it has something to do with Monster Girl. Well, they were together when they went into the dimension, but now they broke up, so something must have happened between the two, which we don't know about yet. Okay, also, two supervillains. These guys on the cover, Magmaniac and Tether Tyrant, want to get some credit with this super crime boss named Titan, who's giant rock dude. And so they try to get some credit with him by attacking Titan's rival in the business, Machine King. And they attack Machine King, but during the fight, Magmaniac dies, and then Tether Tyrant, he decides to form a bond with this whole little thing he has attached to his chest. It's like it's like the Venom symbiote, it's like a symbiote from Spider-Man, but not really, though. I mean, it's not a full costume, it's more of just something he keeps on his chest to give him extra tentacles and stuff, and he pretty much says he wants to form a full bond with it, and when the thing fully takes over Tether Tyrant, he basically has no control, but then when he regains control, he realizes that he's caused a lot of damage, and the Guardians of the Globe are attacking him, so he immediately surrenders. And then Invincible shows up right after Tether Tyrant surrenders, and Invincible's just like, oh, well, I wasn't needed, and the Guardians of the Globe had everything covered, so, you know. And then Robot and Monster Girl kind of have a run-in at the Guardians of the Globe headquarters, and Robot kind of says that he wishes he could forget what happened in the other dimension. Okay, well, Invincible number 83. The way this is going now, it seems like Mark is gonna give up being invincible for a while. I mean, the way he's been acting, and the way he was calm with Cecil using his doppelganger's corpses for his own little private task force or army. I think Mark's just really starting to consider other options other than himself for saving the world, and he just wants to maybe, I don't know, get his personal life back together since he was gone for about a year because of the Viltrumite War. And I'm starting to believe it too, because I think at a couple of Comic-Cons ago, at a convention, Robert Kirkman had a teaser image for Invincible with someone new in the costume, so maybe Mark's going to take a break from being a hero since he's starting to see other people helping out, so Mark might just give up, might just take off the costume for a while and try to maybe work on his relationship with Eve and stuff. But Invincible, this issue though, it's not really jump on friendly. If you've been reading Invincible since the end of the Viltrumite War, then yeah, I'd say pick it up, but not really. And also though, the focus of this issue is kind of torn between Robot and Invincible. It's just kind of torn between the two, like what happened in, like what I said in Green Lantern number 1, where it was kind of torn between how the focus was split between Hal Jordan and Sinestro. It's kind of the same thing going on in here. Alright, well, moving right along to DC Comics. The only DC comic I bought this week was Action Comics number 2. Let me make a note here. About the price cover, it's $3.99, but the story is probably only about 20 pages. But I think the reason you're paying the extra $1 is because they included a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff from Action Comics number 1 and some stuff to come up, like what Krypton's going to look like after the story in this book in here. So you get really the story plus some behind-the-scenes stuff, like some notes by Grant Morrison and Rags Morales about how the book was made and about what they were trying and about what's going on in action and stuff. Okay, so now for my review. Action Comics number 2. Last issue, Superman was hit by again. I want to make note though before I get into this. The story in action takes place 1 year before Justice League, so it really takes place 6 years before the story for what's going on in Superman in the current Superman series. But again, this is sort of year 1 or sort of the first year of Superman and stuff. Alright. So after last issue, Superman was trying to stop a train from derailing, and he collided into a building and he got knocked out. Then the military came in and took his body and took him back to their compound, and now he's being tortured and interrogated by Lex Luthor. And also, Lois Lane is trying to figure out what happened to Superman, what are they doing to him, and she's trying to get into the military compound, but General Sam Lane, Lois' father, notices her and pretty much tries to get her to leave. And also, though, during the whole interrogation sequence, in another room, they're pretty much testing Superman's cape, the cape he's wearing right now, which is apparently his baby blanket from Krypton. And apparently it's indestructible, so Superman's back to having an indestructible cape. And also, while Luthor briefly stops the torturing so that he can talk to Superman, and Luthor does ask him, what does the word Krypton mean to you? That's kind of implies that Luthor knows about Superman, what planet Superman came from. And of course, while Luthor is talking, Superman is able to recover his strength and bust out of there. And while he's escaping, Superman finds his ship in one of the labs. And when he walks up to the ship and he's hearing recordings from it, when he walks up and touches it, it starts to grow some Kryptonian crystals on it, and then apparently a bright yellow sunlight comes out from it and apparently heals him. I mean, I'm just going by what I saw in this, and he had and Superman, he's not quite up to his full power in this, but he had some bruises and some cuts, and immediately after he touched the ship, he was all healed. I mean, his clothes were still torn, but he's healed. And so right after Superman gets healed, after Superman heals, he's not able to get his ship out, so he gets out of the compound. But fortunately, he's able to escape from the compound. And after Superman escapes, Sergeant John Corbin, who you may remember as Metallo from Superman history, John Corbin says that he needs to fight Superman. Superman's a problem, that he needs to fight him. So John Corbin enters this whole new military project called the Soldier Steel, which is apparently some sort of metal fusion process, and obviously that's some foreshadowing for the villain, that John Corbin is still going to be the supervillain Metallo. And also at night, Lex Luthor is talking on his cell phone, saying that he had the alien, and that he's wondering and Luthor himself is still wondering what does the significance Krypton mean for him. And we zoom out, and apparently Luthor is talking to an alien on a spacecraft, and the ship, though, it does look a lot like Brainiac's ship. Well, it looks like a ship Brainiac would have, so I'm going with another theory so that's my second theory from this, that Luthor is talking to Brainiac. Alright, Action Comics number 2, my verdict? I think Grant Morrison is doing a good job to sort of reinvent or reinstate the Superman mythology in this. I mean, Lex Luthor is still egotistical. He's still willing to figure out what the hell Superman is and try to stop him. And also, John Corbin is going to be might be Metallo again. Oh, also I should mention that John Henry Irons, who's Steel from previous universe, John Henry Irons makes a cameo in this, and he also helped with the whole Soldier Steel thing. So maybe there's some foreshadowing to Steel. Not really, that wasn't really touched on, but what the main foreshadowing I'm getting here, though, is that we're going to see Metallo, and we might see Brainiac by the end of this. And also, Superman, again, he did not get the ship out, but when he touched it and crystals started to grow from it, I started to think that maybe that's gonna be where he gets the fortress from. Or because maybe since he knows the cape is indestructible, he might make his Kryptonian armor out of the ship's metal. I mean, either way, the ship might become his armor, or the ship might become might be sent into the Arctic, and Superman's going to create the Fortress of Solitude from there. But still, as far as setting up Superman's year 1 in Metropolis, I think Grant Morrison's doing an amazing job in this, especially the whole depowered thing. I like that, for seeing that Superman wasn't exactly at the peak of his powers when he started, and clearly he's still a young guy. I mean, maybe fresh out of college and ready to just, take on the world, and he has that attitude that says, I'm here to save the world, that I have powers, I'm here to save the world, deal with it. And not so sure if that's exactly the full Superman thing, but he's still willing to help people, and I think that's great. That's pretty much all I have to say for Action Comics. Okay, time to wrap things up here. Action Comics number 2. If you enjoyed number 1, then I would definitely recommend getting the second issue, and maybe sticking around more to see how the story ends. Invincible number 83. If you've been following this either from the beginning or since the Viltrumite War, then I would definitely recommend picking this up. Teen Titans New Teen Titans games. Awesome graphic novel. If you really are a fan of the Wolfman Perez Titans, I would highly recommend you pick this up because it is amazing. Even though now it's probably out of continuity. And that's all I have to say for this video. Spider-Man 1991 saying, see you later.